Alrighty, we are wrapping up another KVK, so I thought I would go over how I went and how my marches performed and how each commander did. So, as you can see, we have about a week left. KVK, we're wrapping up last two Chronicles. We did not win this KVK. We came pretty close to hitting S+, but didn't quite get there. So we'll be walking away with a 5% extra troops. As we can see, we're here in Zone 4. We've got some territory left over here that they were kind enough to not fully burn out. Kingsland is our enemies. We were allied with Fire Camp over here. They were good allies. Now, how the KVK went, we spent Zone 5 fighting 20, 30 and campmates in this zone here. We sort of stalemated in a fort line right down the middle. Then we fort dropped over here and just destroyed them from behind. There was about a day of decent fighting in this zone, but ultimately it wasn't very close. I do think we outpowered Wind Camp over here pretty significantly, so we were able to win here. After that, we won every Altar of Darkness, and then we moved to Zone 7, where we very thoroughly dominated Wind Camp in field fighting. However, it is past 7 fighting. It was all forted off. There was never going to be any territory gain here. 08 dropped over here and helped them out a bit as well, but we got some very good stats in our past 7 fighting. And then Kingsland, it flipped around, so Windcamp went up here, and 08 came down here to fight us. 08 is by far the strongest kingdom in this KVK. They are Imperium, pretty solidly Imperium, and they have everything that goes along with that. They have good speed up regeneration, they have unlimited resources, unlimited online time. They know what they're doing, they fight very well. So all props to them. They dominated us pretty heavily, if I'm honest. We could not put up much field resistance against them in after about, I don't know, 16 hours odd. Our allies were doing very well up the top. They pushed all the way to this pass. They took this. It was just this fort hop here. However, they couldn't quite get wind out of Kingsland before we sort of both went into downtime, and 08 didn't. At that point, 08 was holding us, and they were helping Wind push back up the top, and by the second day, there was really nothing that could be done. It was over. So we pulled back and have been sort of playing around since then. We had a bit of fighting on some forts that we still had in this zone when they were invading, but ultimately we are done. So let's have a look up here. I don't have too many deads. I have 1.4 million deads. It's mostly cavalry, as always. Not that many resources used either. Mostly food, as always. Overall, for the KVK, these are my stats. So I gained 100 million kills, which is... I'm not going to say it's not high. Like, it's a good number. I'm happy with it. But it is kind of what I aim for these days. In this I would call sort of a medium fighting KVK. There were some good fights. However, 08 were so oppressively strong that in Kingsland there just wasn't really a lot of fielding to be done against them. I've got my stats broken down by zone here. So overall, 1.75 billion kill points, 1.4 deads. 600 mil kill points was in zone 5. We had a good chunk of fighting in there. That was good fun. Past 7, 400 mil kill points, 470 in Kingsland, and then 240-ish after Kingsland. This is clean up and some sort of fighting, scrapping on forts during MGE, stuff like that. Overall, performance-wise, I'm reasonably happy with my performance. I ended up 9th for my kingdom, which is a little lower than I usually end up, but not significantly so. My dead count is low. If you see here, I took 400k deads after Kingsland, so I only had about 1 million deads in actual fighting, which is not huge, if I'm honest. That probably could have swarmed and filled a bit harder. Most of my kills are T4 and 5. There's, let's see, 4 million. This 3.4 T1. Then handful here. This is cities and some farm killing as always. This count is low for me. I like killing farms. It is low because we won Zone 5, so there was nothing really to kill. If we look at commander performances, so these are the pairings. These are all the commanders that I ran. This is how many kills they gained. So Arthur, Attila, Philip at the top in the double digits. Arthur crushing it. This is a Tides KVK, and there was artifacts for past 7 and the first, I want to say 12 hours of Kingsland thereabouts. So I was running Arthur Liu in the field. It is, in my opinion, the single best field march you can bring ever, including any sort of QSH march you're bringing. In Zone 5, we are with the new tech. My Cav tech was maxed because I am a rally lead. So that noticeably affected my Zone 5 performance of my marches. Though I will say Arthur William and Attila Philip both consistently outperform my QSH YSG and QSH Zug, even in Kingsland. If I look at my Kingsland numbers, they are the top 2 marches for me. Now, yes, my gear and armaments on these is significantly better on the Attila and slightly better on the Arthur, but still, it is noticeable that I'm trading better and I'm getting a lot more kills on these than even on my QSH. And if we look at it in general, as I would expect, sort of my Cav at the top, Liu is higher here than he would be because he was with Arthur for a good chunk of the fighting. Quinn YSG is very good. Quinn Zug is also good. The YSG is better. More on that later. The Bai Liu, very solid march, did very well. At the start of KVK, I was kind of experimenting. Well, I was experimenting with 2 things this KVK. I was doing the QSH YSG and the QSH Zug to see which one of those I liked better. And I was experimenting with running Bai Liu, Ragnar, Scipio, and between running Bai Wallace and Scipio Liu. I kind of hate Ragnar. I'm a known hater. It is kind of miserable, but with regret, I did decide that it is correct to keep the Bai and Liu together, ultimately. So if we look at this zone by zone, Zone 5, this is how my marches performed. These are all the marches I ran, obviously not at the same time. Everything's positive here. The two second inf marches here are the worst ones. So if you can see here, so while I was running Bai Liu, I was running Ragnar Scipio. So Ragnar Scipio is my worst march, as I would expect. It is always my worst march on 6. But the Bai Liu is significantly better than the Bai Wallace. It trades better. It gets more kills over time. It's a good march. The Scipio Liu, the Scipio Liu was fine. It did well, to be honest. It traded okay. It got decent. The main difference between the marches is if you look at this number, KP per second, right? For every second it's in combat, it's getting a lot more kills than the Ragnar Scipio. And that's in a large part because of the combo attack on Liu and just it being a more solid, prickly march. But overall here, there's nothing major that I wouldn't expect here. My Huo Joan is noticeably higher here than it would be with even tech. Like I said, my Cav tech here is maxed, and my other tech is, I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was certainly not maxed. It was maybe level 4s, that kind of deal. But yeah, 630 mil kill points, largest portion of that in my Arthur March. Attila right behind. Now, if we look at pass 7, so here there's a few sort of, like I didn't really use this march. I sort of took it out and got some favorable fights with it, I suppose, at some stage. I was mostly running Arthur Liu, Attila Philip, QSH YSG, and then here I was back on the Bai Wallace because I was running the Liu here. Ragnar Scipio, some Arthur Philip, Huo Joan, and adding the Zug Herman as the 7th march. Now, Zug Herman is my worst march this KVK by a long way. Like, as you can see, in this past 7, we were dominating everything. Like, I'm trading nearly 3-1. My my Arthur Liu is trading 4-1. Like, but yeah. So my Zug Herman is definitely underperforming in this scenario. Now, the reason for this is very obvious. The reason for this is because I have by far my worst gear on this. This is what I was running it with. It's an uncrit, mostly unleveled leadership set with a flag, no second accessory. Armaments are fine, nothing special, but decent stats. So, and I was running, I think, 100k T4 in this because I just don't have the archers to fill 2 marches. So, worst performing march, but not exactly unexpected, and yeah. So, this is overall, this is my overall pre-Kingsland. This is past 5. This is zone 5 plus past 7 fighting. So trading about 2-1. Still Arthur Liu 4-1 at the top. This march is insane. If you haven't tried this and you're in an Artifact KVK and you have an Arthur and you have an Liu, which let's be honest, you do, and you have some stuff to put on him, run that. It is great. Okay, and then for Kingsland, I was running these 7 marches exactly. And yeah, you can see the difference here. Like, it goes down to 1.5 to 1. Here my tech is all maxed, so there's no differential between Cav and everything else. There is an amount of farm reinforcement killing on the Arthur March, but not a huge amount, certainly not 123 mil kill points worth. The Zug Herman was absolutely getting dumpstered here. You can see I've 3 marches that are trading negative, which is very unusual for me. They are the 3 marches I would expect. The difference between the top 4 marches here and the bottom 3 marches is significant. Very significant. These marches I would all class as meta. These are sort of fading to off meta. If you can avoid running these, just avoid it. Like, if you don't need to run more than 4 marches, don't. Like, honestly, just save yourself the trouble. And then for the whole KVK, looks like this: 1.7 bill kill points. There's a few, like, I killed one thing with Attila Liu, one thing with Huo Arthur. They're up here. And apparently I ran a QSH Philip one time. So yeah, overall, the KVK went about as I would expect in terms of which of my marches performed how. My Cav always do really well. Now, yes, my Cav gear is better than everything else. I don't even know where it is currently. It's on my Minamoto for forts. Right, this was my Attila gear. And then my Arthur gear is currently on Huo. It's pretty good. My armaments on the Arthur are fine. This is honestly, like, I think most people would have this equivalent on some of their marches. And my Attila is rally level. It looked slightly different than this for this KVK. I re-rolled this towards the end when I got a where did I even get it from? One of the events gave a transmutation crystal, so I was able to re-roll this. This was 2.1, 2.4, 2.1 health. Very happy with where that ended up. But other than that, yeah, so nothing has changed about my recommendations in terms of commanders. The sort of top commanders you're going to be looking at: QSH, Arthur, Bai, Liu, Philip. They're the 5 commanders that you should be sort of looking at. Nothing else is really in the conversation at the moment in terms of what you should be investing in. My aim for William was to retire him with more kills than my Nevsky. He's currently got 130 mil, where my Nevsky has, I believe, 147. Yep. I don't know if we get there because, as we all know, there's new cavalry coming probably mid to late November. If not, then certainly early December. So I might get another KVK or half a KVK with William. So I would need to get another sort of 17 million kills on him, which is doable. It's certainly doable in a KVK, but we'll see. We'll see. He's my boy anyway. He's been with me for a long time, and he is excellent. Arthur is going to be... I think Arthur with the new Cav Commander, if they're not the single best field march when that comes out, I will be extremely surprised. It is the start of... Not only is it post QSH, so we can expect that power level, but it is the start of a new generation. QSH is the end... Well, technically the leadership release, I don't even know, Matthias and whatever the Siege one was, is technically the last of that generation. I believe we're on generation 11. Don't quote me. So the Cav will be the start of a new generation. If it is not extremely broken, I will be surprised. I am expecting Arthur with the new field commander to be great. I'm expecting Subutai with the new field commander to be the new meta rally. And I'm expecting there to be a combo garrison that will probably be broken with Attila. So, looking forward to that. But other than that, KVK is wrapping up. Don't really have much more to say on it. Tides is a solid KVK. There are some things I don't love about it. I don't really feel the need for there to be arrow towers in this KVK, but I don't feel the need for there to be arrow towers in any KVK. Other than that, congratulations to Kingdom 3308. They are very solid. They deserve the win here for sure. I will say that I kind of expected us to be allied with 2030. In hindsight, I'm glad we didn't ally with 2030 because I think that would have been very one-sided. They were definitely the weakest camp in this KVK. I believe most of them are migrating to 3308 after KVK, so that should be fun for them. But they were fun to fight against. They did fight. They brought it in the field. And yeah, it was a good one. So, as always, max your calves, use them in the field. And with that, I'll leave it there.